Lift.
Remember how they're all equal?
Yes.
So if the wind changes us when we're equal, we're going to move in, you know, any direction, basically.
Yep.
So that's what we're there for. When the attitude of the airplane changes and stays there, that's when we do something about it.
Okay.
When it changes and goes back to where it was, you know, a small change, we don't do anything, you know?
Okay.
And Pontiac Tower helicopter 779er Hotel Alpha would like an eastbound departure.
So did Cal tell you, or JP tell you about how wing works?
From the compass
The wind?
Yeah. The aerodynamics of it and everything. Did you do your ground lesson where they drew the wing on the board?
Niner Hotel.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Did they explain what a stall was?
No, but it's like, I know it. It's when when the flow of air over the wing is disrupted.
Yes, it's not hugging the wing,
Yeah.
right? So it's not producing a lot of lift, right? So what it's doing is it's not producing enough lift for us to keep flying. So in slow flight, what we are is we're doing just right next to that stall.
Yes.
And what we're doing is we're basically keeping the airplane flying.
But just barely.
Barely. Yeah, so it's going to need more control inputs to get the same motion.
Well, but the controls are less stiff, right?
No, they're more stiff when you do that.
Oh.
Here, I'll show you something, okay?
Okay.
I have flight controls. So when we're flying like this, you can see that I am moving around with one finger, okay?
Yeah.
You see I don't need to do a lot of motion to get this result out of the airplane. When I'm flying slow, there's less airflow over the wings, okay?
Okay.
Therefore, if I slow the airplane down, all right?
Okay.
And all I'm going to do is fly slow, okay?
All right.
If there's less airflow over the flight controls, that means they're going to be less effective, all right?
Yeah.
So all I'm doing is slowing down, and I'm going to drop my flaps down now, okay? I'm in the wide arc, so I can take them all the way to 30.
Okay.
All right? Now, the entire time, I want you to look outside the airplane, okay? Or at least out the front, if you can. All right? So what we're doing, basically, is now, right here, we're going to be entering slow flight. All right? So our angle of attack is like 14, 15 degrees, okay?
Increasing.
Right? So it's increasing. Remember, it's 16 degrees of angle of attack. That's where an airplane stalls, right? So you see right here, I'm at slow flight, okay?
Okay.
And look outside the straight window. You see how slow I'm moving?
Yeah.
That's all it is. Where does this occur in everyday flight?
Pattern.
Where in the pattern?
Final. And,
Just a very short final, right before you hit the ground, actually. It's about 2 feet above the ground,
like ground effect.
Yes, actually. That's exactly where it happens. So if I slow way down, all right, let's see how slow I can make the airplane fly today. All right? We haven't even, there's the stall warning.
Stall.
That's not a stall. That's the stall warning horn. You see that's going off, right?
Yep.
But if I take all the power away, right? So I am at 15 degrees of angle of attack right now. And if I go to 16,
stall, above it.
There's a stall, and now I'm flying again. Look at that. There I'm 15 degrees again, but I'm flying again. You see that? I'm flying again. I'm not, I'm not getting moved all over the sky because I'm flying again. You see that?
Yeah.
So there's no need to go rocking forward on the stick. Okay?
Okay.
There's no need to push forward really hard. All you got to do is lower the nose half a degree. And that exercise that we did, and we're getting bumped around just a hair today because of it's starting to warm up.
Yeah.
But we didn't really lose that much altitude. You see how we go from 16 degrees stalled to back to flying?
Yeah.
So if I'm that close to the runway, right, and I stall, let's say 100 feet above the ground, right? And then I do this and I go really far forward, I'm going to hit the ground, right? So if I instead just reduce my angle of attack by barely an inch, and all I got to do is basically, fly in slow flight, speed up ever so slowly, holding my altitude, and then once I reach safe climb speed, I can climb away and try the landing again, right?
Yeah.
So there's no need to do like the movies and go, jamming forward on the stick, Nothing about this should ever feel like a roller coaster, okay?
Okay.
So what we're going to do is some slow flight exercises. We're not going to do any stalls today, but we are going to do a few slow flight exercises, okay? Stalls will come probably next time.
Next time.
All right? So what we do before we do any maneuver is called a clearing turn.
Clearing turn.
And what that is that's just a nice gentle turn. Doesn't have to be a 30-degree bank. It can be something like this. Now you're only required to make 2 90-degree turns, okay? So I could only have to do this and then that, but that doesn't show me the whole sky, right?
No.
If I'm looking for traffic during this, I really want to make a 360.
Uh-huh.
So because the busy airports are next to me, there's Flint over that way.
Yep.
And behind me, where Pontiac and Detroit Metro are.
Uh-huh.
So if I'm going to clear the area effectively, I need to know what's behind me, right?
Okay.
So all I'm really doing is looking for other airplanes.
Okay.
And at this point, we're always a team. Because if you see something, say something.
Okay.
If I see something, I'll tell you.
All right.
Because believe me, the last thing we want is to be anywhere near another airplane
Oh, definitely.
when we're in a condition where we're practicing maneuvers.
Definitely.
So you saw how slow I can make the airplane fly.
Yes.
I was flying actually at 26 knots today. My
Wow.
stall actually occurred right around 18 knots. You know?
Okay.
So don't worry about that stall horn, all right? Now we're not going to have that go off today, but we'll get to that point, all right? We're going to start easier and work our way up harder, all right?
Okay. I've done stalls before. Then.
No worries.
All right.
And I'm sure people have demonstrated them to you and everything like that. I'm going to actually teach you how to do them, all right? So here's how we set up for slow flight. Turn our carburetor heat on, all right?
Perfect on.
Reduce our power to 1,500. So the 15 on the RPM gauge. And you're going to hold your altitude, all right? So you keep pulling back, all right? Now we're in the white arc of our airspeed.
So we
Put our flaps all the way down to 30. So watch your gauge. Get ready, let go. There's 30, all right? Now put your hand back in the power, and your hand never leaves the power. Now go ahead and add power to about 2,000. So push it forward, there you go. Now all you got to do is just look at your altitude. See how you're not sinking anymore? Now you're actually climbing a little bit, so go ahead and reduce just a hair of power. There you go. Now you see how slow you're flying? You're only doing like 50 knots?
50 knots?
Okay, so now we're going to look outside the airplane, okay? So now we're going to try to turn. Now what's going to happen is we're going to do a very gentle turn. We don't do a steep turn in slow flight, okay?
Oh, no.
We only ever do 10 degrees of bank, which is the first line. So if you're less than 10 degrees, that's fine. Just don't go over it. So if we go to the right, like this, you see how you're having to move the control more
Yeah.
to get it to do what you want? That's because there's less airflow over the wings. And you see how slow we're turning, right?
Yeah.
So this is the exercise they're going to ask you on their test. Okay, they're going to ask you to do a turn in slow flight to the right, a turn to the left. They're going to ask you to climb and descend in slow flight, okay? So when we get, you see this road goes east out there, these roads kind of go east. When we get like basically pointing that way,
All right.
we're going to roll out. And we'll roll out. There you go.
Yeah,
And now what we're going to do, it does take a lot more, doesn't it? Now we're going to go to the left, okay? So all we got to do is go to the left lightly. You see that? And it's all very, very slow. If you think you're not going fast enough in slow flight, slow down. And it's not about the airplane I'm talking about. I'm talking about you. You know, don't try to speed this maneuver up in your head. Take your time with it. All right? The longer you take with this maneuver, the easier it's going to be on you. And that's what we want it to be, is easy when you take your test.
Yes.
There we go. Now we're going to go ahead and roll out. Now what we're going to do, keep your hand on the power. You never take your hand off the power, all right? What we're going to do is we're going to climb in slow flight. So in order to do that, we can't pitch up, right? We can't pull back.
Power.
We got to add power. So add some power to like 21, 22. See what happens there. There you go, right there. You see how you got a small climb going?
Climb?
No, keep your hand on the yoke. That is all the climb you'll need. A very slow climb, all right? So let's climb to 3,300, okay?
Okay.
And you see how everything about this is exactly that. It's slow.
Slow.
It's very, very slow. There's nothing about this that's, you know, quick or needs to happen right away.
Ah.
There you go. Now, in order to level off, we push forward slightly and reduce your power back to about 1900. Now, what we're going to do is let's descend in slow flight. So take power away to about 1600. There you go. Now you got to pull back a little bit to hold that so your airsplane doesn't speed up, right?
Okay.
Because you want to maintain an airspeed, right?
Yes.
So you notice it's reversed, right? You're not pointing the air, pulling back or pushing forward to go up and down now. You're pulling back and pushing forward to control an airspeed, right?
Airspeed.
And then you're powering for an altitude.
Up and down.
Where is this, what does this have in common with everyday flight?
Like how you use flaps to control descent on final?
Well, it's not, flaps don't do that, but you're right on, it is in the pattern. When you start your descent, that's where this occurs. Then you're pitching for an airspeed and powering for an altitude.
Okay.
Your flaps, the only thing that they do is produce more lift.
Okay.
So well, you can fly slower and produce the same amount of lift.
Okay.
As you normally would flying faster. Therefore, you touch the ground slower.
Uh-huh.
And that means you land softer, right?
Yes.
So there's another airport out here. There's Lapeer.
Lapeer.
It's right over here at 11 o'clock, all right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tune in Lapeer's frequency, okay? And I'm going to show you how all these concepts tie together in a landing, okay?
Oh, in the pattern.
So go ahead and add your carburetor heat into full.
Runway 19.
Increase your power to 2200.
Livingston County traffic, Diamond 620.
There you go.
Charlie, turning left crosswind 3.
Now go ahead and raise your flaps all the way up. Good, just leave, oh, you can just leave it clicked up like that.
Oh,
There's a limit switch. The motor will automatically stop working for the flaps after it gets up. Okay, so now to take some power out to about 1700.
So, starting traffic.
Keep taking power out. Take power out. There you go. We want to descend. All right. We're going to descend into the pattern.
oh, okay. So we're making downwind, right?
Yeah, we're going to enter the 45 to the downwind, all right?
All right.
And I don't think anybody's here, but I'll do the radio calls for this because you haven't done this one, okay?
Uncontrolled.
Non-tower.
Okay.
Never say uncontrolled to the FAA. There's no such thing as an uncontrolled field, actually. It's all controlled airspace.
I guess so.
Seneca County.
Rosio traffic, banner code 637, go back around Pacific.
DuPont Lapeer, Cessna 73455, 45 to left downwind, runway 18, Lapeer.
Lapeer.
Traffic, 613, departing runway 29 left.
Okay, so go ahead and put your taxi light on.
What is taxi lights?
That's your landing light.
Oh, okay.
That's that light underneath the nose.
Yeah, okay.
That lets everybody know we're going to land. So go ahead and turn your carburetor heat on. Good.
Carburetor on.
Tap your mixture like that with your thumb to make sure it's rich.
Full
Now
rich.
your seats are in and locked. Good, you just did your before landing checklist, okay?
Yeah.
You just did it, so.
Oh, all right.
Yep. Okay, go ahead and add some power to about 2100. So don't twist it, just apply it. All right, you never want to twist the throttle because it's a cable. If you twist it too much, it'll break, and that's going to be a really bad day. So keep adding a little bit of power. There you go, right there. We want to be doing about 90 knots, which we are.
Okay.
Okay? So all we're going to do when we come in to land, DuPont Lapeer, Cessna 73455, left downwind to runway 18 Lapeer.
Livingston County, 8 Delta Charlie, turning left.
You see there's a guy on the taxiway down there. He's back taxiing and remaining in the pattern.
Oh, is that what we're going to do?
Well, we're not going to do that. We're going to do one landing there and take off again and go practice a little more.
Oh, touch and go?
Well, no, we're going to taxi back.
Oh, okay.
But we're not going to do a touch and go on your first, ever one. You know?
Yeah.
Okay, so what we're going to do is hold some airspeeds when we do this, okay?
Okay.
The first airspeed we're going to hold when we're descending is 85 knots, okay? So add a little power. Keep coming with that power. There you go. There's our altitude. There's level off. Good.
Zero traffic, Banner Tower.
When I ask you to, please reduce the power to 1600.
1600.
And you'll have to do that right away, okay?
Alright.
And we're going to hold our altitude while we do that, okay?
Okay.
Okay, please reduce the power to 1600.
Livingston County, 8.
There you go. Now add your 10 degrees of flaps. And only 10 degrees. There you go. There's 10 degrees. You're good. Now look at that. You see how you're pitching forward?
Yeah.
And you're at 85? You're good. It's all about the forward motion, okay?
Okay.
Good. Okay, now look at your runway. When it gets to a 45-degree angle, there it is. Let's make a turn. Now you never want to do any more than 30 degrees of turn in the pattern, okay?
Okay.
Now add 20 degrees of flaps. There you go.
Zero traffic.
Now add a little power.
Final 17, Banner pickup.
There you go. Perfect. You see how we're holding 75?
75.
That's our next airspeed.
Okay.
Okay? And on final, we're going to hold 55. Or 65, sorry, 65. I fly a lot of airplanes.
Yeah, okay. That for the diamond?
Yeah, Diamond, that's not for that one. The Diamond's 70 on final.
Oh.
I'm thinking of this guy, Satabria, that I did a flight review on the other day.
Okay.
You see how we're holding that, right?
Yep.
DuPont Lapeer, Cessna 73455, left base, runway 18, Lapeer. Okay, now you see how our runway is over there?
Yep.
We need to start turning early so we don't have to turn very steeply. As we're turning, add 30 degrees of flaps. There you go. That's perfect. Good. And now look at that. See how the airplane holds 65 all by itself?
Yes.
That's the airspeed we need. Okay, so if we slow down, we need to pitch forward. If we speed up, we need to pitch up.
Up.
So go ahead and reduce power because we are high. Take power away. There you go. Not all the way, but that's pretty good right there. So be very light on the control, okay? You want to let the airplane talk to you.
Okay.
Now you're going to lose the horizon when you get down there. So what you're going to need to do, so don't pull it to the left, you're on the center line. What we're going to do is I'm going to line the nose up, there he is. Alright, so now reduce power to idle. Now look all the way to the far end of the runway.
Okay.
Now as we let it come all the way down, level off. Don't fight me on it, level off. Level off, you got to pull back, not forward. There you go. And now we're just pulling up. Here comes slow flight right here, there's slow flight right there, and there's a stall.
Touchdown.
And you see how the stall occurred right as I put the wheels down?
Yeah.
And you see how I hold that nose up to help me slow down?
Aerodynamic.
So I don't actually need to use my real brakes, okay?
Okay.
Because they're like bicycle brakes, and these wheels on airplanes have a nasty habit of locking up. And they're not anti-lock like your car. Why? I have no idea. So go ahead and raise your flaps. Put your carburetor heat off. Good. Now you can take your hand away from the flaps. Go ahead and turn your taxi light off. Good. Ah, they must be building a big warehouse or another terminal over here. DuPont Lapeer, Cessna 73455, clear of 18 on Alpha, back taxiing for a southbound departure. Lapeer.
Oh, there he is. I'm doing test. There he is.
Look at the seaplane.
Yeah.
You see how it's got wheels on the floats? It's amphibious.
That's cool.
That's a Piper Cub. That's actually a Super Cub.
Super Cub.
Okay, so add just a touch of power so we can taxi, all right? Keep adding that power, and make sure you're not twisting it, all right?
Okay.
You always want to push and pull, not ever twist, okay?
Those are old guys watching.
Yeah. There's always like 4 or 5 of them. They just sit out there and watch airplanes. It's kind of funny, actually.
It's kind of weird.
You doing okay back there?
Yeah, doing great.
Having fun?
Enjoying it.
Good.
Enjoying it. That's good. They got that.
Yeah, they're tearing it apart.
That apart.
They're probably putting a new nose gear on it because that airplane, that's a 172 also,
Oh,
like ours. So that's there on its tail for a second. That's that guy that was taxiing. That's a Glass Air.
Glass Air. Oh, isn't that a kit?
Yeah, that is a kit plane. They're very nice, actually.
Yeah. Don't they have a grass runway?
They do, but we're